Hello, I'm Nan Simonson. I'm the author of, I looked over here at the book, At Aging Powerfully. And my story is about coming from challenges to, I'm going to say triumphs. And one of them was realizing just before turning 70 that 70 wasn't the end of good health, of looking forward to longevity, etc. It was actually maybe the beginning of another 10, 20, or 30 years of good health with certain, mm, let's say, pillars upon which to stand in terms of health factors. And I'm part of a lifestyle medical practice as a health coach. And I say again and again, those pillars include whole food plant-based or plant-forward or plant-close, putting emphasis on the value of plants in our diet for the microbiome and for nutrients, as well as movement, as well as community, and as well as rest and relaxation. And I just came back from just a 1 week holiday with my husband in Mexico, just 15 minutes inside the border at a little town of Tecate, Mexico. It's about 2.5 hours from my Southern California home. So I drove there, parked at a market that offered that to people, and the ranch sent somebody across the border to help us with the luggage, take us across, and take us to the ranch. So Rancho La Puerta, what is that? You can look it up. Rancho La Puerta. La Puerta meaning the door. Back in 1940, a professor, a speaker, a holistic practitioner, um, with his young bride, who was 20, maybe 25 years younger, um, began a group of people practicing natural health in Tecate, Mexico. He actually was a foreigner from Romania, came here, and his visa was timing out. He was going to be sent back. He was a Jew that was during the period, think of this, 1940, just before World War II. There would have been trouble. And so he went to Mexico to begin his health retreat, and it grew from there. Now there are, gosh, what is it, 4,500 acres, 45 acres, no. Now I can't remember that detail, but it's very large. We were on 1,500 acres that is developed. They've given a lot to the town of Tecate. They've built soccer fields and they've really built up the place, and the employees are all Hispanic from around the area. They have, they're still in the practice of bringing health to the masses. Travel and Leisure magazine has voted many times the Rancho La Puerta the status of being the #1 destination health and wellness spa in the world. And my husband and I went last year in August, this year in August, because Chef AJ, who was my resource 6 years ago, now it's going on 6.5 years, when I decided to become whole food plant-based, she was my resource, my training resource. I learned so much from her and Tammy of Nutmeg Notebook, and then later on Plantiful Kiki, and there are a number of them, Kathy Hester. And the ranch is vegetarian. They're not vegan. Vegetarian can include fish. It can, pesco, vegetarian. It can include cheese and milk, like yogurt. That would be that would be let's see, lacto is egg. It can include that, dairy, as well as fish, pesco, a vegetarian or strict vegetarian. And in any case, they are a vegetarian facility, and they make all of our meals. And they have a 15-acre ranch that, garden on which most of the vegetables that are served are grown. They have goats to be milked. They make 10 pounds of cheese. Is it a week that are served at the ranch, the goat cheese and eggs from their hens, but they don't have enough hens to supply all the eggs that would be offered, but they have the hens. And so it's in Mexico where you would think, oh, hot and dry and brown. No, it's been there for over 80 years. And the gardens are gorgeous with native plants and water-wise plants, beautifully done. Their daughter, uh, who is, what is she now, in 60s or 70s, the founder, Deborah Saki, her husband passed quite a long time ago. She is now 102, and their daughter is a landscape architect. A lot of this was done before she stepped in, but still she is overseeing the gardens. But there are 80-year-old oaks covering the grounds. And so everywhere that one walks, there is shade. And it's just beautiful, simply beautiful. And we were back with about 30 people that were part of Chef AJ's group. And so we dined together and we had events with her. And Alan Goldhamer was there, Dr. Alan Goldhamer, who is the founder and still runs for, it's been 40 years, True North Health Center. It's a fasting and wellness center. And he was there. And so we dined with him and his wife, who is also a chiropractor. So all of this to say that it was a great week, but the reason I felt compelled to do this talk on self-care, the title being self-care, are you good to yourself? Is that I realized while I was there, and people came from all over. A person in AJ's group came from South Africa, and she came from South Africa last year for this as well. And there were people I met at the pool that came from London just for the holiday week, and they weren't even part of Chef AJ's group. People fly in and they love what the facility has to offer. We begin the week with this little pamphlet, and this pamphlet represents every day of the week. And every day, this, for example, let's look at a full day because we arrive on Saturday, but this, for example, is Sunday and that's Monday, and you can see my little scribbles. This represents 50 different activities that we look at and decide what we're going to do. And this one, 49, and this one, 51. Well, one of the things that the ranch honors is our circadian rhythm, because that's where sort of the source of health for us all, the circadian rhythm being the body's natural body clock. So it's up with the sun and down with the moon, down meaning go to bed, but that's doesn't happen in the summertime, of course. But they begin events at 6 o'clock in the morning. And there are 4 or 5 walking trails of different lengths, including a 7-mile one up to the top of the hill, Mount Kuchima, that surrounds, that's supposed to be sort of a magic place. It was revered by the Indians before anyone ever came, and those Indians are revered at the ranch. So there's walks first thing in the morning, and then breakfast starts. Breakfast starts at 7:30, and it's an organic breakfast with a number of options. And then the classes begin, and the classes begin at 9, and they include, I'll just give you an example. Introduction to circuit training, introduction to Pilates mat, meditation, pickleball for beginners, full body strength, stretch. My husband and I every morning did the stretch. It was like yoga, but an hour of different movements that help tone and stretch. The whys and hows of hiking poles, TRX fundamentals, nature walk with Rob Larson, who is he's a naturalist who also has a graduate degree in botany, and he walks people around. So that's an example. That was just 9 o'clock. And then you have 10, 11, 12 is lunch. And then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, sound healing. Tim and I did sound healing every afternoon, lay in huge, gorgeous place. They call it the Oak Tree Room. And somebody plays these quartz bowls to different tunes that are supposed to be aligned, not tunes, but sounds that are supposed to be aligned to our chakras. And sound creates vibration. The vibration enters your body and affects it physiologically. And it's not just woo-woo. This kind of is what happens, but that's what happens in a natural kind of a setting that honors, you know, bodies and natural health. Well, one of the things that we did every day at 10 o'clock was a dance class. And I thought to myself, Tim used to go dancing when he was in college. Every whatever day he would go to the local hall. They called it the barn. And he would go dancing. I didn't know him then. That was a long, long time ago. We've only been married, 12 years, and I'm 73, he's 72. So it was a long time ago. But I brought that up to him because I thought, how am I going to get him to do this? And I said, remember when you used to dance? And I didn't know you then, but you used to love to play, and I used to love to play, and we haven't played. Let's consider. And then I said, would you go dance? Would you do these dance classes? It was 6 days of dance, Latin fusion, cardio hip hop, groove and funk, um, 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 salsa, and what was the last one? Zumba. I can't do left and right. I'm very dyslexic. And that was traumatic for me. All of these were because I can't follow directions, but we had a ball. And then cardio disco dance. That's a lot of dance classes. He was such a good sport. He said, sure. So that's how the days were filled with movement of some kind, or relaxation, or meditation, or Tai Chi, or nothing at all. There was a day we just went to the pool for the rest of the afternoon and swam and took advantage of the air and the oaks and Mount Kuchuma, which you can see everywhere. So what is the point here as far as the circadian rhythm? Breakfast after the walk and light in the eyes, because that starts the circadian rhythm. Dinner at 5:30 with the point to end at 6:30 or 7, so that we could do what we call a time restricted feeding. They didn't offer any food anywhere after that, because that would give someone who ate breakfast at, well, who finished dinner at, let's say 7, maybe even stretched it to 7:30, and then didn't eat again until 7:30. That's a 12-hour fasting period. That's wonderful for our body. All of these things, all of the things we saw at the ranch, we could easily do on our own. Another rule, no cell phones out of your room used to speak on. In other words, nobody was walking around these paths or in the classes before the training began, nothing. No phones, nobody's chatting on phones. We used our phones to take photos of things. There was so much to take a photo of. There was even a little drawstring bag in the room. Put your phone in here and why don't you leave it here for the week? Nah, I didn't quite do that. But again, one of the possibilities of, and I guess the point being made that we are here for self-care, not to continue the demands of life that sort of drag us through a day, rather than our choosing how to live our days. So I thought I would put together a list of things that either I had done there, or that I do here, or that could be adopted by anybody. Now, this is a long list, but could be adopted by anybody, with the intent of not having to go to a rather expensive place. And by the way, Chef AJ is back there next March for her birthday and July. So you can look into that and be part of that group if you want. You could go anytime you want. The rooms include rooms with cell service for people that need to get on their computers and work there, even though there are cell places. But I'm sorry. The doorbell just rang and the cat just went nuts. Huh, okay. Um, let me get my mind back again. But they're also less expensive. They're haciendas. They're little haciendas that you live in that are all with a Mexican tile floor and that kind of a beautiful ambiance of a, well, at one time working ranch. So I'm going to be giving you a list. You may, if you have a paper and pencil, jot down some thoughts. Listen to this again and consider what you can do for self-care, which ultimately leads to your own health and happiness, because part of the pillars of lifestyle as medicine include de-stressing, sleeping well, moving well, eating well, and of course, community. And there was a lot of friend making at this event. A lot of people came away with each other's phone numbers and addresses. Okay, so a mindful, why not? And say to yourself, why not? I can do this. I don't have to be somewhere else for this. Why not on a regular basis? Begin my morning mindfully with a mindful morning routine. Start the day with intention. In other words, wake up. This is going to be a great day. Think of what you want to accomplish that day. Practice deep breathing, practice meditation, consider a journal, consider a gratitude journal. I wake up every morning and do bed exercises, and I realized, because I got comments, I'm 73. I shouldn't be able to move as well as I can, but I got comments from people, wow, you're really limber. Wow, you can fold in half. Well, without thinking about it, when I wake up, sometimes before I even open my eyes, I do bridge. Bridge is when you're on your back and you lift up your hips so that you can keep that strength in your glutes and the back of your legs. I do bridges, I do leg lifts, I do cycles, I do the legs down, that's good for the abs. I do crossovers of the legs, I do side legs lifts. I do a plank. I have to put books down and my hands sink into the mattress and it hurts my wrist, but I do my plank. And I also do that outside sometimes when I'm doing sun salutations. But point is, consider movement in the morning. And if you can't find a time, wake up 10 minutes earlier and put a little time in. It actually usually takes me about, 15 minutes for that. And then I also do, and if you go back to my the PowerPoint playlist videos, there's a PowerPoint video on Atanama, A-T-N-A, no, Ata, A-T-T-A-N-A-N, Nama meditation. And I do that every morning now, in bed after I do all the other things. Do it your way, but consider the things that if you were paying somebody to do and they walked you through it, you could do on your own. Healthy eating, nourish your body with a balanced plant-based diet or as plant-forward as you can. The American Gut Project conclusion pointed out that the healthiest people, and they even added, regardless of the rest of their diet, are the people that eat 30 different plants a week. That feeds the microbiome. A different plant can be a red pepper, bell pepper, as opposed to a green bell pepper, because the polyphenols will be different. So if you take just let's say a creative salad. Every day I have a big creative salad. I have at least 21 different fruits, vegetables, seeds or nuts, legumes or grains in that salad. 21 in one salad, because I make a game of it. You can make a game of it. So in any case, plant forward, if not plant exclusive. I've been plant exclusive for 6 years. The ranch had massive amounts of variety in that way. And eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, legumes, seeds and nuts, and whatever else you're going to eat. I just believe that this is the smartest for our bodies, but also for the planet and our future on Earth. Exercise regularly. Engage in physical activity that you expect to do every day, like yoga, like walking, like dancing, to keep your body and mind healthy, to stay flexible, to be able to move. I wake up and I expect, don't even think about it, that I'm going to hop on my bicycle. It used to be walk, go up a mountain that's nearby for an hour, and then it was running until my meniscus was torn. And that wasn't even because I was running, it was because I did something, I twisted it wrong, and it still doesn't allow me to run or even walk very far. So what do? I cycle. I bicycle every morning and love bicycling out where there are trees and fields and things around this, what we call the River Bottom Trail. Rest and sleep. Ensure that you get enough restful sleep. At the ranch, everything is over by 9 o'clock. There's an 8 o'clock class, finishes at 8:50. They shoo you off to your room. And the idea is that you de-stress, unwind, go to bed early enough to get up at 6 and take the walks that they either have for you, or Tim and I just did our walks on our own because the trails were very well marked. And plan these things in advance, know what you're going to do, because then you don't wake up and just wonder, what is this day going to be like? Because I have nothing planned. It's harder to be inspired to move forward when it takes a plan as opposed to simply following an intention. Hydrate. Drink plenty of water throughout the day and stay hydrated and maintain your energy levels. At the ranch, there were water fountains, purified water fountains, including ice, everywhere. And everybody had their water bottle that they were constantly refilling. And at every class, they would say, okay, hydration break. And you'd walk over and you'd get your water. Nobody has to pay for that. You can do that at home. See? Yum. Disconnect. Take breaks from social media and technology to focus on the present moment and reduce stress. Take a digital detox. Try this. No phones, no computer, no TV. There's no TV and no radios at the ranch. And reconnect with yourself and reconnect with others, or simply be still and reconnect with nature. Read or listen to music. Engage in activities that relax you, such as reading a good book, listening to your favorite music, sitting in silence, connecting with your animals. My cat's still there in a different place. She was rather shaken. She doesn't like the doorbell. She doesn't know what it is. Practice gratitude. Write down or think about things you're grateful for to foster a positive mindset. Mindset is a buzzword, and I think it should be. If you catch yourself, because I catch myself doing this, we all can adopt a mindset that is unhealthy. We all can find ourselves ruminating on a thing, a conversation, a situation, a memory, past grudges, a wayward comment of somebody cutting you off while you're driving, and ruminate on it and get a mindset that sets us into a negative spiral. Where we look for evidence about what we're feeling that is so negative that it's happening again and again. And think of how this happens. If you decide to get a thing, let's say a new roof, and let's say it's going to be a tile roof, all you'll see from that point on is tile roofs because you're paying attention to them. If you're mad about a thing, you will be looking for that thing. In other words, where's your mind going? It's going to the negative instead of the positive. So I want to recommend that when you catch yourself there, and I've learned to do this and it's not perfect, but what a difference when I lasso that mindset away from something that is going in the wrong direction emotionally or mentally, and bring it back to something positive. In other words, reset the mind, reset to something that you like, that's positive, gratitude, And it can totally change your day and your week and actually your future. So don't forget, practice gratitude, because when you're feeling grateful, you don't have room for negative thoughts. That's a mindset. Connect with loved ones. Spend quality time with friends and family who uplift and support you. That matters. It's part of what evolutionarily kept us safe as hominoids and keep us from feeling the, I'll call it stress of loneliness or separation. We can actually work on that. Learn something new. Stimulate your mind by picking up a new skill or hobby, whether it's learning a language or painting or cooking or needlepoint or dancing new steps. You should have seen us. It was embarrassing. But fortunately, a lot of people couldn't keep their lefts and the rights and the forwards and the backwards with all these different dances. If Tim wasn't such a good sport, if he were all about ego and kind of machismo, he would have walked off, oh, probably at the first or second class feeling ridiculous because we were all over the place. But he didn't. He kept going back and we had a ball. And now we can talk about what dances we like, what we think we could do, and how we could pull it off. Maybe doing this from time to time together. Declutter, even if it's just one spot. I'm sitting at a desk. There's a desk behind me, but you can't see. So I'm going to tuck it in. So I want you to see it. Is that there are a couple of piles. There's a recipe pile and there's an events pile, and they're right behind me. Well, all of this can get carried away. I've been gone for a week. I've been just putting things away quickly. And on either side of me right now, I have too much clutter of these things that I have to sort through. It's uncomfortable. I can feel it physically. Before I left, all of this was picked up, and I remember sitting at my desk and just breathing. Small areas, declutter, can make a big difference. A large area, an entire closet, an entire room, maybe the house, can be a complete shift of attitude and relief of stress, but it can start really small. Mindful breathing, practice deep breathing exercises and meditation to calm your mind. There is Dr. Andrew Huberman out of Stanford University has, I don't know that he coined this term, but he calls this technique that I'm about to show you, and I've shown you in other videos, as having been proved to be the #1 way to relieve stress at the moment. And it's called physiological sigh. It's what our body does when our breathing is shallow, could be from crying, could be from tension. Our breathing is shallow and we're building up carbon, or we're building up carbon dioxide in our system, and we'll do a quick breath or a quick couple of breaths, and it displaces the carbon dioxide with oxygen. Well, we can, and during a cry, you'll see, I mean, children, adults, because we're doing that. Well, it looks a little like that. The physiological side that you can do is a deep breath in and then topped off with just a little bit more air. So, and then expel it out. And that's to the count of 8. So 1 is really quick and then get it out of there. That's a physiological sigh. You can do 1 or you could do 2 and 3. You don't want to do too many, because even though there are some recommendations by some that you do a series of them, it can make you lightheaded because it's not natural breathing. But that physiological sigh, try it when you can't sleep at night, when you're tense, when something catches you suddenly and raises your adrenaline. Oh, I'm sorry, I did it backwards. The big in-breath, the little top it off, and then push it all out, because what you've done is you've opened up that second, opens up the alveoli in the lungs, those little pockets, fills them up with oxygen, and then you push out the carbon dioxide. Okay. Positive affirmations. Speak kindly to yourself. We all need this. Speak kindly to yourself with affirmations that build self-esteem and confidence. Catch yourself when your mindset takes you to in a different direction as it relates to your self-evaluation. So many of us, when we do something awry, we don't remember to do a thing we meant to, we mess a thing up, uh, sometimes it doesn't even take that much for someone to say, "You're so stupid. Gosh, you did it again. I knew you'd do that. You can't get it right." People do that to themselves. They say things to themselves they would never say to somebody else, certainly not a good friend. And if you aren't your own best friend, well, then you're cutting yourself short, because when you start believing in yourself, when you look at those things and say, "It's okay, you got this," and you start acting as if you are the kind of person that can not get something right, but easily recover, easily understand what happened and evaluate that and move on. You put yourself in a position where you can love yourself enough to grow. People who do not love themselves don't grow well, because they're constantly debasing their value. Catch yourself doing that. Seek support. Reach out for help when you need it, whether it's talking to a friend, a counselor, a mentor, getting it off our chest, speaking about it, having somebody else hear what you have to say, even if they're not there to fix it, but just to hear you, just to let you explain how you're feeling. Because sometimes when you say it, you realize that maybe you've evaluated something wrong, or maybe you evaluated right and you just needed to get it off your chest. Volunteer work, giving back to your community or for a cause, something that you care about, can boost your mood, your sense of purpose, and your pride. Volunteer work can give as much to you as you give to somebody else. Reflect on your achievements. Take time to acknowledge and celebrate your successes, big and small. One of the blessings of social media is that we can connect with so many people that have so many talents and skills. One of the curses of social media is that we can think that we see what's going on around us and tend to compare. And we will never measure up if that's the case, because we're comparing our mess sometimes with somebody else's singular triumph that they happen to catch on film or on a video, or gaslighting to make things look better than they are. And I'm not being snarky about that. It is the truth. Sometimes, and I've gotten caught up in that. I began all my social media platforms after aging powerfully, with the intent, as stated in the book, to pass on the precepts of lifestyle as medicine, the fact that going into any one of our later years can actually be the beginning of a whole new life, decades more of life, and giving outlines of the things we can do to allow that to happen, with health and vitality. Well, the point is, it was good enough at that time if I had a couple of people that I influenced or inspired. My YouTube channel is where I do most of what I do. And I think I don't know, I'm at 6,000 something, 6,000, I don't even remember what. I would have thought when I began and I had 100, that I would never hit 1,000 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. You hear what I'm saying? That's not it. What I do is I look around and I feel like I haven't been heard. Do you know how ridiculous that is? Because I made my goal of being heard and changing some lives again and again. How many again and agains does it take? So I've had to even catch myself and stop the comparison game, which always leaves us feeling less than. There are always going to be the people out there that have their hundreds of thousands, their half a millions, their millions. It doesn't matter if we are true to what it is we set out to do, or at least heading in that direction. Uh, we have to keep all that in mind. Mindful movement, incorporate gentle stretching or yoga to stay flexible and to relax. As I said, that morning routine of mine, I don't even think about. And if I think I'm not going to do it, and there are mornings I get up and I don't, but not very often. If I think I'm not going to do it, I remind myself that one more morning of doing that and one more morning of doing that, and I no longer have that routine. So I just do it, and it feels good and it keeps me limber to the degree that I'm more limber than I would be if I hadn't been doing this for, I don't know how many years it's been, 6 years, 7 years. I've exercised in the morning, and that's not the exercise in the morning, the cycling is, but just the stretching and the moving. Stay creative, express yourself through creative outlets like drawing and writing and crafting and mosaicing and cooking. Um, Indulge in your hobby, because that's one way that you are expressing your individuality. Set boundaries, learn to say no and prioritize your needs to protect yourself. If you don't have an idea of where you want to go, what makes you happy, and some steps to go there, you don't have an outline in your mind of what priorities will help get you there. In other words, you'll say yes to anything. And before you know it, you're saying yes to so many things that you are light years away from where you really want to be, simply because you haven't defined enough what it is. So again, setting boundaries does begin with knowing where you want to go, what makes you happy, what it's going to take, and then don't be afraid to say no. Pamper yourself. That's what this is all about. Treat yourself to a spa nearby, a massage nearby, or at home with a face mask, a long bath, essential oils, creating a calm atmosphere with candles and soft music. You can do it yourself. Mindful eating, we learned that at the ranch. Practice chewing well, chewing to a cream. That takes patience when you're eating a lot of raw fruits and vegetables and grain. Well, you don't eat grains and legumes raw, make sure they're cooked. Putting the fork down in between in between bites, not being distracted by anything around you, therefore having conversations at a table and stretching a meal long enough to have a lot of bites, a lot of chews, a lot of satisfaction from that meal. And imagining the gratitude you have for the person picking the food, making the food, serving the food, and if you happen to be away from home, maybe even cleaning up for you. But just as importantly, the things that that food are doing or is doing for your body. Explore nature, spend time outside, whether it's a hike and a walk, walking on the beach, sitting in a park. Nature has a calming effect and can help reduce your stress. And your natural environment around you, everything outside as well as in your house, affects your microbiome, either positively, like chemicals on the floor, or either negatively, like the chemicals that you clean with. And oh, um, even room deodorizers, spray things that are supposed to take away, I'm way off on a tangent on this one now, that are supposed to take away odors. All of those are chemicals. All of those hit your microbiome in a negative way. Nature, luckily, doesn't have any of that. And being out in nature allows you to take a deep breath, and in most cases, know that it's clean and refreshing. Create a vision board. Visualize your dreams and your goals by creating a board with photos, drawings, or simply words of where it is you want to go with your life, and decorate it. We've talked about vision boards before, and they're really powerful. Practice forgiveness, let go of grudges, and practice forgiving yourself and others. Holding on to negativity can drain your energy and leave you again with a mindset that you have to dig your way out of. Set small, achievable goals on a daily basis. Break down your larger ones into small, manageable steps and look at every day as a way of building either new skills or new memories or new gratitudes. Celebrate every small victory, and it helps you build momentum and confidence. Laugh more, watch more comedy, spend time with friends who make you laugh and let yourself be silly. Explore new places. Again, those can be places you have to travel to or just around the corner in your own neighborhood. And remember that you are loved, that you are special, that everything you do and think can lead you where you want to go or take you in the opposite direction. And understand that caring for yourself, giving yourself the value of your own attention will ultimately feed you, nourish you, and help you develop into the person that you want to be. I hope you've had some enlightenment from these ideas. There's certainly a lot of them. Play it back because there was a lot. Write it down and maybe check things off a list as you go along, or double or triple up some of them. Well, I hope you have a great day. I know I'm going to. If you liked what you saw today, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and take good care of yourself. All right.